Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to New Forest Morphs. It's Wednesday afternoon. Jared and I are buzzing. We've just sold a snake to a beautiful family who've just literally just left this moment in time. And what a lovely family we are, Jared. And they really were a pleasure to be able to help. And it's their first ball python that they bought. And this is what the hobby is all about. It's actually encouraging new individuals and families to get in. Today we're going to be talking about the Hypo Pied and Hypo Clown projects that we are developing. Here's an example of a girl that we produced a couple of years ago called Ebony. Jared named her Ebony for obvious reasons. You can see the black and the whites in there, you can see the yellows, and you can see just how beautiful it is. And it's carrying that beautiful orange ghost look. So it has, with pastel, it does tend to give a very good grey head stamp to it. But Hypo's coming back into vogue. It's a very old gene that's been around for quite a while. But I think people are realising what it can achieve, and people are mixing the Hypo with the desert ghost as well, putting them into their clown pieds and producing some amazing animals. So we've also had some other good news. We've got hopefully a trade that we're hoping to do with a friend of ours that has fallen in love with one of our Mojave ultramales. And the nice thing about the hobby is that money doesn't necessarily have to pass hands. You can do trades, and the snakes themselves can be traded in the hobby. We swap each other's snakes and maybe pay any additional supplement to allow for any change in market value. So I think we are getting a Hypo Clown Boy, hopefully, and the Hypo Clown Boy will be coming into part of our projects, and we'll discuss that in a second. But let's just start with this particular girl here. She is doing really well, Jan. Let's get the scales zeroed out and see how much she's weighing in at. She thinks she's 66% het for pied, isn't she, Jan?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what weight she's doing at the moment. So we'll just weigh her, see where she's coming in.
Oh, it says unstable.
Okay.
So you just put that one back on there.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Then we'll zero it out again.
I think we need to invest in some new scales, John.
Yeah.
Scales are
okay, we're good. Go.
They're being quite temperamental, but let's just see what we've got there.
Excuse me.
She must be over 1,000 by now.
1045.
1045. So she's not far away. So she's hit the 1,000 and she's still eating. People talk about the 1,000 wall. We've not really experienced it, Jared, have we?
Not with her.
So we've had one or two girls that have kind of stopped at 1,000, but on the whole, most of our girls just smash through, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of theories for that, but some people think that they're practicing to fast because they have to fast when they become females, and therefore they go through a fasting process so they can train their bodies. Other people think they're de-stressing before they breed, and therefore it's okay for them to go off food. Other people think that some breeders are breeding too quickly and girls switch off because their stress levels are too high. And I think because we're feeding once every 2 weeks, we don't allow our girls to get too stressed out, and we give them a decent prey item, but they get plenty of time to rest and digest. And I think that's an important part of the hobby, is if you try to accelerate too quickly, you can do a lot of damage to the snake and also to your collection. And it's best to go at a steady pace and to give them the correct prey item and to be cautious not to feed too often, in my book. But every breeder has their own approach. The other good news is, before we get into the Hypo Pied, is that we were talking about the Ultramale Clown Pied project, and we're looking at eventually trying to get 5 different recessives together, potentially. Well, as part of that bridge, we've located, and I talked about the importance of keeping an eye on the market, a top breeder that we've had the pleasure of communicating with yesterday. He was very, very professional, been around for about 20 years. Has made available one of his snakes that's 750 grams, which is a triple het Ultramale Clown Pied, which basically is the bridge between the Ultramale Pied project and the Ultramale Clown project. So it allows us to bridge the two. And the nice thing about it is that that's carrying 3 codoms. Leopard, Orange Dream and Yellow Belly are 3 favourite codoms. So when that came up in the market, I had to give the guy a call, and we messaged each other, and because he priced it so well at the right price for me, I felt that there's no need to negotiate on price. And I think you've got to make that call, and then there's a lot of goodwill that can be achieved by not negotiating on price. And I think I got an immediate call back, and he showed me his collection on WhatsApp, and lovely guy, and he's organised the transportation for us. So we're going to have a new snake coming to New Forest Morphs, which is going to be this pretty established girl. She's a girl, but she's going to be the bridge between all the 3 projects because she's carrying those 3 hets. Now we can put 2 males to her. We've got the leopard, banana, clown pied boy, Jared, that we can put into that triple het, and that will give us potential for double visuals, clown pieds, plus 50% het for Ultramel. So therefore we're now bringing the Ultramel into all the projects. So you can see how important it is to build the bridges, and it's the triple hets that can do that, providing you've got the males to go to them. We've got other males that can go to that project as well, Jared, because we've got the Ultramel Pied Boy Colt who's in shed. He can be plugged into that girl the following year, and then we can end up getting visual pied Ultramels that are going to be, half of them will be het for clown. So therefore you're now building double visuals that could be carrying under shed testing 100% of the hets. So now you're moving into the next level here. So getting those triple hets is a very important part of bridging all of your projects. You can see this girl's giving me a nice little neck massage, Jared. So that's lovely. And also we wanted to thank Jim, who is a lovely guy who's recommending quite a few new breeders to us at the moment, and I think it's important to build relationships in the community. And Jim, we're going to get you another snake for your collection. Just bear with us, because we are in the process of feeding quite a few of our hatchlings, and I know you want a colourful girl, so I think what we'll do is we'll send you a picture of some of our beautiful girls, and then you can choose which one you'd like to have in your museum, because we've got relationships with a local museum that basically gives out a lot of love to a lot of people that are into snakes and other reptiles and insects and various other creatures, and I think it's all part and parcel of being in the community. So I think it's a good thing, Jared. And Jazz, today when we had this meeting with this lovely family, it was so refreshing to see the excitement of this young lady and her daughter coming into our facility, and they're connected with their community, and we're going to open up our community to the sea cadets who are going to come up and have an experience here as well. And maybe Jim would like to come and bring some of his animals, and we can make it a lovely experience for them. So part of building up your future outlets for your snakes is to give something back to your community, and I think I'm a firm believer in what goes out comes back. The more love and generosity you give to others, the more that seems to come back, Jared. Not that we expect it, but I think it's just what I call the boomerang theory. What goes out often comes back, good and bad. So give out lots of good vibes, good things, and I think you tend to get more blessed that way. So let's talk about this project, Jared. What would you put to this girl? She's carrying fire and pastel, known as a Firefly. She could be het for pied. Should we check to see if she's got any marks on her? Yeah. Because there are pied markings that you can pick. We should really shed test her. The other nice thing is that the guy that we're buying this new snake from has offered to pick up some of our sheds and take them over to Ham. So if anyone's interested in sending any sheds to Ham, let us know, hit us up, because we've got a connection with a top breeder who goes every year to Ham and takes sheds with him to have them tested, and I think that's a really good thing, because then we can get a big diversified group of animals that can be shed tested. I think there is someone doing it in the UK, Jared, but they've got a limited range of the genetics they cover, but there's a guy in Ham that does it and has quite a wide spectrum, so I think that's a good outlet to have as well if you want to identify your snakes. But in the absence of shed testing, talking of shed testing, Jared, there was a lovely video yesterday I've got to share with the community where I think I spoke to you today about it. Is RGI that we gave a shout out. Ben had one of my favourite guests who I also gave a shout out, which is Matt at American Made Exotics AME. He produced a snake which actually had half the snake had a pattern on one side and the other half had a different pattern on the other, and I forget what they call that, Jared. What's the name of that term?
I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like chimera or chimera, CHIMERA.
Yeah. And if you look at the video, which I looked at yesterday, it was explaining that he was trying to hit a pastel desert ghost multi-combo, and half of his snake had the pastel DG visible down the centre, half of its head that way. The other half didn't have the DG, it was het for DG. And the guys that are doing all the genetics found it really fascinating that you could actually do a skin test on both sides of the animal. So they took the extreme part of the shed on this side of the animal, compared it with the extreme part of the other side, and they found that it was a boy. They sex tested it as well to make sure that it's just one sex, but it was carrying 2 embryos that had obviously merged together into one snake, and had produced a perfectly formed snake, but actually had 2 different genetics, one on each side, which I thought was fascinating.
Interesting.
So I think the genetics are going to the next level. The interesting thing now is they're going to give him some sperm plugs, so you can do genetic tests on sperm, and they're going to find out whether the internal organs are all different, whether they're half boy, half girl, whether it's a boy inside, and they're going to find out whether they can breed with him or whether it will be a lovely pet. But fascinating how the hobby is developing. So let's have a look and see, are there any pied markings? What are we looking for, Jared, on the pied markings on an animal of this nature? What would you look for?
The most obvious ones are going to be ringers and tracks.
Okay, so are there any ringers that you can see? I mean, I can see blushing on the tail.
There's a partial one here.
Okay. Yeah, have you got one? You see a ringer?
It's either a lot of blushing, but it looks more like a start of a ringer to me.
Okay.
Just there.
Just here?
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is, when the alien heads merge at the back, are they merging at the back? Or are they still separate? If you get the merging of the alien heads toward the back, that tends to be indicative of pied. And then if there's any tracks underneath, are there any tracks, Jared? That's the thing. Can you see any tracks on her?
Partial tracks.
I can see some tracks underneath there.
Yeah. They're not really clear, obvious ones, but
pastel and fire might actually reduce the amount of tracks. So the general rule, these are general rules, but when you combine them with other codons, some of the things that you're looking for you can't often see because the strength of the other genetics are kind of disguising what would be there, if you see what I'm saying. So it might be worth shed testing, but obviously the easiest way is to put a pied to her. But you'd want a pied that is carrying the hypo so that you can produce some hypopieds, and that's the first project that we've been trying for 2 years to hit, and I don't think we've hit one yet. So this girl is going to give us the chance to hit that project, but we just got to work out who to put to her. So what I'll do with Jade is I'll slip her back, and then we'll pick out a couple of possible boys that could go to her.
there are also some other routes on this project as well.
Yeah.
We've got 2 female pieds that are het for Orange Ghost.
I think there's one here, isn't there?
Yeah.
So here's Soot. So let's have a look at
And these are the ones with the big eyes.
Right. That's beautiful, Jared. Isn't it a beautiful animal? Well, I'll come out of the light.
So this is a fire pastel pied, 66% het for Orange Ghost.
So this is the other way around. So this is carrying the pied. She's a sister of Ebony. What's her name?
Soot.
Soot. Jared, you named her as well. She's going to be about 1100, similar size. So they need another 3 or 4 months before they go. But let's bear these 2 girls in mind. These are our best chances of...
And her sister as well.
Is there a sister? And we've got Ash. So we've actually got 3 girls. So we've got 3 opportunities here, which is perfect. That's why it's important to have an army, because of the 3, 2 of them should be... 2 of them should be het for hypo.
No, she's the same genetics as her sister.
Yeah. 2 years of age.
Big eyes.
But the mother's got big eyes. We'll show you the mother, who's a double het. So we started off on a budget by putting double het to double het. And you can see this is a project, a building block for us. And it does take time, and the brother is Archie. Now Archie is a fire hypo. He's obviously a little bit shy at the moment, Jared. So let's just have a look at him and see how he's doing.
He's just
shed out. Beautiful. So perfect shed as well. It's lovely to see the perfect sheds. But he could be the boy that we will breed with.
He could go to both those pied girls.
Yeah. Any pied tracks?
Got tracks.
So he's got the tracks.
See them?
We did breed him last year and he gave us a clutch, but none of them were pied, Jared. So that could be just the odds, but that's quite rare. So just because they seem to have tracks doesn't mean to say he's carrying it. So,
but who do we pair him to?
So we paired him to his mother,
who's het pied.
Who's a double het, and she gave us a lovely clutch, and we'll show you those babies in a minute. But we've got to try and work out how to also bring in new bloodlines. That's why doing this trade with a friend of ours, Sean, is a good thing, because he's got a fresh bloodline of hypo. It is a good quality hypo line. Hypo is also known as Orange Ghost. If we get a new fresh male in that's actually a hypo clown, we can then start to produce visual hypos, and they'll be double het for clown pied. Now you can see where this is going. Hopefully each of these daily series, when we're bringing all our different genetics together, you'll see that there's going to be common threads between all 3 or 4 projects that can be weaved in. DG clown, hypo clown, hypopide, DG pied. All these different genetics are going to make bridging and bringing together that 5 genetic animal with all the codons more doable. So we're taking a really long route, slow and steady pace under a budget, but I think we'll get there eventually, Jared, and it will be superb when we get there. It'll probably take us another 15 years, but we'll get there. So sometimes it's the fun part of the hobby is to make it happen rather than buy everything. You can spend a lot of money and buy everything, and then you take the fun out of the hobby. To me, I think sometimes it's a question of actually building the building blocks and trying to work out the strategy of how to do it on a budget. The Sunset project yesterday was done under £1,000, and okay, we haven't created one yet, but you know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a het would have cost you nearly £3,000. So when they become affordable, guys, this is the time to maybe get into your hets and start to create the visuals and then start to build your projects. Because a lot of us don't have the money to be spending 10, 15 grand on these snakes, but we love the genetics. So this is the beautiful thing about the hobby. So working out males, if I bring you the original father, Samo, who's an absolute stud, as soon as Archie proves out to be a pied, this boy will become available. And this will be for someone else that would like to get into the hobby. We're going to keep him as our ultimate backup boy because he's a proven breeder and he's reliable. He's going into a bit of a shed, but he is a Firefly double het hypo pied. He's the original father of the grow-ons that we've just shown you, Jared. And he's a lovely example. Does he have big eyes or not too bad?
These aren't particularly big.
I think it's the mother that has the bigger eyes in the genetics. And that is Moneypenny. I'm not sure if she's going into shed. Let's just show off Moneypenny. I think she's sitting in a water bowl, which means she's going into shed. That's why we go for big water bowls, guys, so that they can actually get more humidity if they need it. Although the humidity is very high at the moment, she wants extra humidity. And she's given us back-to-back clunches, Jared. And we will, once she gets up to condition, we will breed with her again, and we may end up trying to put Archie in again, Jared, to see whether or not a second clutch might produce the pieds. Sometimes you get a string of pieds and a string of non-pieds. It doesn't mean to say he's not carrying pied, it just means the genetics are in favour of a particular genetic. And sometimes you get them coming in groups, so that's part of the thing. So in terms of what we would do with this project and where we could take it, I think Archie, if he was to go into the hypo girl, we're going to have guaranteed hypos. Hypo to hypo is a recessive genetic, which means to get a visual representation of the hypo, you need 2 parents that are carrying the hypo, and we've got that now. So before we're working on double hets, now we're working with visual to visual. That means 100% guaranteed. That's the power of a double recessive visual. Everything's guaranteed and allows you to further your projects. Whereas with hets, they've always taken that risk that they're either going to be 66%, 50%, 25%, or no het at all, because you won't be hitting them at all. But with visual recessives, which are more expensive, you're guaranteeing the gene going forward. And that's either in a visual side if it's visual to visual, or it will be 100% het if it's a visual to a non-visual, if that makes sense.
You've got the babies over there from this clutch.
Yeah, we're going to have a quick look at those, Jan, but before we do that, if we were to put Archie to his sister, now we've got to be careful here because you can get genetic issues if you do too much interbreeding. That's why I want a fresh boy to come in as well. But if we were to do that, we'd hit hypos. If she's carrying the pied, there's a 50 or 66% chance that she is, and he's carrying the pied, then we could hit 1 out of 2 of those could be pied if they're both het. So we could end up, let's say she gives 1 out of 4. So if we end up with 8 eggs, we could end up with 2 hypopies out of that by having a visual to 2 hets. See what I'm saying? So our odds are constantly improving each year. So even though the odds are quite hard, a double het to double het is 1 in 16. A visual het to a visual het is 1 in 4. And that's probably more doable when you get a small clutch of 6 eggs or 8 eggs. Much more doable. As far as the pied girls are concerned, we don't have to put Archie to them. We could put Archie to one of them. But let's think about the triple recessive of getting the clown in. Now, if one of these pied girls is carrying the het for ghost or hypo, would it be wise to put in a high-end clown boy to her to help produce some potential triple hets so we can get hypo, pied and clown into there? So you'd put a high-end boy into one of the girls, which could be someone like Hercules. Unfortunately, he's going into shed right now, but he's carrying 4 codons on top of the clown. But if we put him in there, Jared, that
Why
could
not
be...
the clown pied?
Sorry?
Why not the clown pied?
Or, even better, put the clown pied in, because then
Get
you're
a
going to...
visual double hat.
Yeah, and he's carrying leopard and
Banana.
banana. And it'd be interesting to see what a banana hypo looks like.
Because then we get pastel, fire, banana, hypo,
Could be awesome.
clown pies.
And they would be literally a visual with the double hets.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. For your next building block, you want at least a minimum of a visual with a double het. So instead of going for 1 out of 64 rods, you're now looking at 1 in 16. So our building blocks are build 1 visual to 2 recessives that are het form, and that way your odds are going to be in your favour, and build an army as you go, and then you stand a chance of hitting your visual. Let's have a quick look at these babies then, Jared, and then see what we've got here. Now we had a good feeding session yesterday. How many new babies did you get on food yesterday, Jared?
The majority of them.
So,
all of these.
All of these now. We still left them with red tags just to make sure that next week we know that we've only assist fed them and they've taken their food. So hopefully they'll take the food for themselves next time. And you're using baby pups to do that at the moment.
Yep.
Last week's babies that took baby pups took fluffs, most of them, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And did they all kind of
Smash them.
So it's interesting. Once they get the taste of food, they start smashing. It took us 3 or 4 minutes per animal to feed, but it's well worth the investment.
So clutch 24 is the ghost clutch.
Right, let's bring it out to the table, Jared, and see what we've got here.
That's 25, that one.
So that was 25. So it's clutch 24. Why don't you home in on what we've got there? See if you can identify what's going on, Jared. We
So
haven't
this
sexed
looks
these yet,
like
have
a
we?
fire ghost to me.
Yeah.
And then this is a pastel fire. Ooh, a Firefly
Wants
ghost.
to eat again, does he?
And you can tell the difference. They've got similar colouring, but this one's head's got the pastel mark. This one's head has not.
Right. And what are the chances of them being pied? At 66%, is it, Jared? Or think about the
well, it
pairing.
depends if he's het or not.
if he's
If the dad was
66%, and if he's a het and he went to the mother who's a het,
Yeah.
they'll be 66%. But if he's not a het,
Then it's
then
50.
there's a 50% chance on the mother. So we've got to really, we might have to shed test him. If we're going to send our friend to Ham, maybe that's a shed that we should send to try and find out if he's carrying the pied.
So this is good. We've got one of each here. This
Okay.
one here
Yeah.
is a pastel hypo.
Yeah.
This one's a fire hypo, and this one's a firefly hypo.
So you've got one of each, you can see the differences. I'm guessing, is this one a hypo, Jared, or is that one?
Yeah, that's a hypo.
So we've actually got 4.
So that's a pastel hypo.
That's the hypo.
I'm not sure if that one's fire as well. I don't think so. I think that's the only firefly.
Okay.
These two are more similar.
And I think we've got another one here. Do we get 5 in the end? There's that one as well. Was it a pastel?
No, that one is just a pastel, I believe.
Any pied marks on any of them at all? Because that would help us to know whether...
Not on that one.
No.
Not on that one. Not really. Don't fancy getting bitten right now.
And that's another one of the clutch, Jared. I don't think that one's hypo either, is it?
That one's
pastel.
not, but you can see a pied ringer right there in the middle.
Okay. I wonder if the hypo hides the pied ringer. You know, I talked about genetics hiding certain ringers and things.
Mm.
I'm hoping that's the case and that there is pied in these, because it would be fantastic if they are. Because then we've got all these visuals, and if there are a few girls amongst them, Jared, we're building up an army of hypos for the future here.
Yeah, that's 4 hypos right there.
Yeah, I think we hit 5 out of clutch of about 7 or 8, I think.
Yeah, we did well on the hypos.
We have got some others that are...
Did we hit any normal hypos?
I don't think we did. I'll just have a look. No, we've just got normal het hypos, I think. So
What are these ones again? This is
that
the...
one's the... Let's have a little look.
That one's the pastel
Fire.
fire that's not hypo.
Firefly.
That was the same.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually I think this one is hypo.
Is that one hypo? So do we get 5 hypos then, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we've got 5 hypos, that's good news. And then on top of that, what we've got available from last 2 years ago, I'll put these in case anybody wants to pick these up to get into the project, is we've got two other beautiful, just look like the mother, Jared, which are not very expensive. I think they're actually on our Morph market, Jared.
At the bottom. Chia and something else.
Just trying to find them, I can't see them.
Down
there's
here.
Chia, these two here. So why don't we just bring them out into the light and show people if they want to get into the project. These are two potentially double het. They're 66% each, I think.
Yeah, this is a pastel possible double het. And these ones have got the big eyes as well.
There's good size in them as well. I think within a year they could be up to breedable size, and I think they're both girls, are they? We've got two girls here. So if you want to pick them up, I think they're good priced. Have a look on our Morph Market account and you'll see they're both on there. And you could shed test them if you wanted to, but it would cost you quite a lot to shed test them. So it's a risk. It's a calculated risk. This one looks slightly brighter than that one.
Yeah.
So are
I
they
think that
both?
one's fire.
Is that a pastel fire? Let's have a look.
Maybe not. Maybe just a pastel.
So that one I think
That one's brighter than that one.
that one's going into shed maybe, but we've got two pastels here. They're both pastels. They could be double het for hypopide, but we're selling them as 66% het for both. And I think that really is close to coming to an end of this video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we haven't really discussed what else we could do with hypo, but obviously we can put DG in there.
I'd like to get a black pastel hypo clown. That's what I'd like to hit.
A black pastel hypo clown.
Yeah.
I think Jared's idea of bringing in Bozo into the clown pied banana and leopard is a great idea. But also we've got other things that we can bring in. I want to bring the Exantic in, because if you bring in the Exantic you can have the true ghosts, so you put Exantic with Hypo, it's fantastic. Hypo and DG go into virtually every recessive, so I'd like those two genes to be in our 5 recessive animal with 3 other recessives going alongside them to get everything the way we want them. So I think that's all for today. We've had a successful morning. Lovely to meet this new family. Thank you for your love and support, and we shall see you hopefully tomorrow. Bye for now.